After Judge Dugan's arrest.
Yeah, go ahead.
What's next for cleaning up the courts after Judge Dugan's arrest?
Oh, it's terrible. What happened there is terrible. That could happen with a judge is so ashamed. We have to bring our country back from all these criminals that Biden allowed to come in. These are world-class criminals and people that are insane, people from jails, murderers, drug addicts, drug dealers. You know, we have a country. We have to be proud of our country. We can't let these people stay, and the courts are allowing them to stay. And we're just not going to allow it. So hopefully the Supreme Court will come to the rescue of our country. Thank you.
Judge, anything to say about this?
The judge was arrested because he was housing a trendy Iroquois. When you have millions of people that you're moving out that are really bad people, very dangerous people, and you have a judge that wants every single one of them to have a trial. And how long does the trial take? Weeks? Trial can take weeks. We have hundreds of thousands of people that we want to get out of the country. Some judge that nobody ever heard of is holding us back. It's very dangerous for our country. I mean, you want to see a country that'll have crime? Let that happen.
Traffickers, gang members, and other criminals from
as a museum of the deep state.
Sir, any other questions of the committee?
Go to the people that she might have been protecting.
Americans voted for a president. They didn't vote for a king. Trump is acting like a king. This is what kings do. The very public arrest of this judge that happened in the cafeteria at the courthouse just a couple miles that way shows the contempt and disregard that Trump and FBI Director Kash Patel have for our judiciary.
Why in the heck do they come for her? The FBI, especially. They're supposed to protect us, too, not arrest judges.
No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. Let the judge be released. No justice, no peace.
The judiciary acts as a check to unchecked executive power, and functioning democracies do not lock up judges.
There's no way that we would have treated a much more dangerous criminal the way we treated Judge Dugan. And that's what's essentially pathetic about this situation. We do it in an unbiased, fair way. And to the extent that they create these circumstances, what they're essentially is creating chaos. I expect less people will appear for their criminal appearances in court. I expect that victims will be afraid to come to court.
Fascism, but we are. They think it can't happen here, but it can, and is happening here right now. And if we don't stop it before it gets too far along, we're going to be no better than Germany was in the 30s and 40s.
See, I'm 87 years old, and this is not the country I grew up in. We need to change it. We need to fix it.
We need checks and balances in this country, or we will not remain free.
I mean, that's the intent, to really say, well, if they can arrest a judge, they can certainly arrest me.
Simply put, it's a war on democracy, where one district court judge or a cabal of 10 or 15 district court judges who are radical left, sitting in strictly regional courtrooms, can conspire with each other to shut down the operations of the federal law enforcement function. That is not only antithetical to democracy, it is a direct form of tyranny. The whole thing is obscene and it's absurd. I can't even imagine how much time we spend debating how much generosity, how many billions of taxpayer dollars, how much amnesty, how many reprieves we should give to people who chose to come here illegally and take from us and our people. The whole conversation is absurd and offensive.
Stephen, how important is it to have public opinion?
Murderers, human traffickers, gang members, and other criminals.
The lawyer for the woman who had two U.S. citizen children who was deported, he said when she was put on a plane within 24 hours after she was gone. Isn't the case being rushed to avoid the process?
To the cameras, please.
Are you familiar with the case in question?
To the extent that, yes, I am. I'm sure you are.
So this person has had years of due process. In other words, the cases that you're referring to are individuals who have already received all of their due process, including a final adjudication of their claims and an order to be removed from the country. And of course, by the way, we're going to respect parental rights. When you're deporting an illegal alien and they want to bring their kids with them when they leave, of course we're not going to stand in the way of that. The mother wanted to bring her children with her, and of course we will honor and respect that.
Hey, Stephen, can I follow up on that? Can I follow up on that, Stephen? Given you're looking for more money from Congress, ICE says they need more beds, they need more money. Is it the best use of the administration's resources to be going after moms of young kids, basically?
Do you yourself have an opinion on the subject?
I'm more interested in yours.
Well, what percentage of the, let's just pick an even number of, say, 10 million illegal aliens. Let's say that Biden released, I think it's closer to 20 million. Let's say he released 10 million illegal aliens into the country over the last 4 years. What percentage do you think we should let stay here of those 10 million?
I'm not trying to do a game show.
No, but I'm saying,
just curious if you think that's the best use of your limited dollars.
Is it your view that if a Democrat president releases 10, 15, 20 million illegals into the country, they all then should get to stay forever and for all of life?
Stephen, I don't have a view about what Democratic presidents do. I'm asking what the Republican president you work for and how he wants to use
so you don't want to
resources.
answer the question because you know the answer is obvious. Everyone that Biden let in has to go home. Of course. I mean, it's a crazy thing to even ask. You think we should give administrative amnesty to some subset?
I'm asking how you're prioritizing the work that your administration is doing.
ICE is going to continue to focus on raids against high-threat criminal aliens.
A version of this legally ends up with him ever living here because he is a citizen of El Salvador.
I'm asking how you're prioritizing the work that your administration is doing.
Thanks for being here today, Rogan.
If I can also answer your question, as far as the judges, having a U.S. citizen child does not make you immune from our laws. If that's the message we send the entire world, enter the country legally. It's a crime. Don't worry about it. Get order removed by an immigration judge. Don't worry about it. No one's looking for you. And have a U.S. citizen child, and you're immune from our laws, you're never going to fix the border.
At what point will the administration accept a decision of the court, even if it's not in its favour?
I don't understand what you're asking.
At what point?
What? No, what is it?
Would you only accept a decision of a court if it's in the...
Well, but look at the example that was just given. Because of the Supreme Court's ruling, right, the administration, right, is operating under a TRO, a temporary restraining order, on the Alien Enemies Act for illegal alien foreign terrorists who are plotting on U.S. soil, right? So that was a ruling that was issued. That's in effect. I don't understand the question. I'll take one more because that question didn't make sense.
Okay.
After a reporter was inadvertently senior officials using
The end of crime and the end of terrorism. And it can be done. I mean, you're doing it already.
Obviously, it's this administration's view that illegal aliens should be able to be deported swiftly and quickly, and it should be as simple as, are you lawfully in the United States? No. If you are not, then you should go home. In a sane country, that would be the system. We will see even faster and quicker voluntary departures from the United States. Bottom line is that the president is going to continue and expand and accelerate the effort to remove from our midst people who have no lawful right to be here, and we will do so without apology.
How important is it to you to have public opinion on your side? Do you risk losing hearts and minds?
Even a CBS poll showed overwhelming public support.
But they have to let us do the job that the voters want us to do. Judges are interfering, supposedly based on due process, but how can you give due process to people who came into our country illegally? They want to give them due process. I don't know. My administration has increased arrests of known and suspected terrorists by 655%. Is that okay? We tried to get it higher. We tried to get it higher, but the courts are giving us a hard time. Can you believe? You know, I won on the basis of, I think the number one thing was on illegal immigration, the border, and now the courts are trying to say that, you know, that doesn't matter. I don't think it's going to be allowed to stand. And also, we cannot allow a handful of communist, radical left judges to obstruct the enforcement of our laws and assume the duties that belong solely to the President of the United States. Judges are trying to take away the power given to the President to keep our country safe, and we have to do something. These people are just looking to destroy our country. But we're being impeded by judges from doing our job. If somebody could criticize me for that. These are rogue judges. These are radical left, generally radical left, horrible judges.
You mentioned this last night in your speech in Macomb, that we're facing an unprecedented situation where there's a lot of abuses of nationwide injunctions, sort of seemingly designed to curtail your power. Have you spoken to your team about ways to mitigate this and continue to deliver to the American people?
Yeah, well, there are ways to mitigate it, and there's some very strong ways. There's one way that's been used by 3 very highly respected presidents, but we hope we don't have to go that route. But there is one way that has been used very successfully by 3 presidents, all highly respected, and hopefully we don't have to go that way. But there are ways of mitigating that.
The millions of illegal aliens have been released from this country in violation of federal law.
We're going to hammer away and make sure that we clean up our streets and give the American people back their country.
We are not going to allow a district court judge to try to become the Secretary of State. Those are the terrorists that President Trump is finding and apprehending that our Democrat judges and Democrat activists are trying to keep on U.S. soil. It is a sad reflection on the state of our media and many of the outlets represented in this room that you obsessively try to shill for this MS-13 terrorist.
Can I ask the Doge question? Can I ask about Doge?
And I don't know what's broken in the Washington press corps. The only thing that gets them exercised is, do we need to have more trials for terrorist supporters? Do we need to have more trials for gangbangers? Do we need to have more trials for illegal alien invaders? Even though Congress and the Constitution clearly say that you can expel invaders and illegal aliens quickly, efficiently, and properly. This president has literally saved America, and I could not be prouder. I could not be prouder, as I know Caroline feels the same way.
Gang members and other...
Anything to say about this?
Reason it has earned that title.
Have you been in touch with El Salvador about returning Abrego Garcia? Has a formal request from this administration been made?
Well, I would never tell you that. And you know who else I'll never tell? A judge. Because the conduct of our foreign policy belongs to the President of the United States and the executive branch, not some judge. So we will conduct foreign policy appropriately if we need to. But I'll never discuss it. And no one will ever make us discuss it, because that's how foreign policy works.
We all know Donald Trump's fondness for autocrats.
And we know he sees the rule of law as a nuisance. He considers the truth to be an inconvenience. And now he's taking a page out of the book of the dictators and autocrats he admires, like Bukele, and expelling American citizens with no due process.
The highest court in the nation ruled that Kilmer should be returned home. So why are they still waiting? Enough is enough.
Bring him home! Bring him home! And there's some very strong ways. There's one way that's been used by three very highly respected.
Only in the most urgent and dire of situations. We are not in one of those situations now. I do not support invoking the Insurrection Act.
You're fired!
We're just not going to allow it, so hopefully the Supreme Court will come to the rescue.
Because they're already looking to impeach Trump, you know, these crazy people. Let's impeach him. For what? We don't know exactly, but we'll find. These people are crazy.